everyone, it's Maki here. The power-up sequences of Gundam are a hugely popular element. The transition from Shining Gundam to God Gundam stirred up emotions and passion. The introduction of Wing Gundam Zero, with its cool appearance and terrifying capabilities, really spiced up the story. In the Seed series, the protagonist's role was passed from Strike Gundam to Freedom Gundam. Today, I'll talk about an even more powerful version of the Freedom Gundam. It's the Strike Freedom Gundam. It's a Gundam that has gained particular popularity in the Seed series. The charm lies in its resemblance to the Freedom Gundam, but with even more powerful weapons equipped. Now, let's start analyzing the Strike Freedom Gundam. Let's delve into the history behind the birth of the Strike Freedom Gundam. First, we'll trace back to the era depicted in Gundam Seed. The Freedom Gundam and Justice Gundam were completed with the aim of securing freedom and justice for coordinators. Justice Gundam was a successful fusion of the data from the GATX series, hijacked from the Earth Alliance, and the technology of the Soft Forces. The Freedom Gundam, on the other hand, represented a further leap in technological advancement, emerging as a powerful mobile suit that would shape the future of the Soft Forces. These two completed Gundams became extremely powerful weapons. However, even the Soft Forces didn't believe that a mere handful of mobile suits could change the course of the war. Of course, in reality, Kira Yamato Athranzar and their companions significantly altered the outcome of the war. This was the result of pilots with exceptionally rare and high skills. It was not realistic to expect the same level of expertise from most ordinary pilots. The Soft Forces initiated a mass production plan for the Freedom Gundam. The Strike Freedom Gundam was a mobile suit born from this plan, with significant modifications to the original design. It was in effect designed as a sibling unit to the Freedom Gundam. It's a common misconception that Soft Forces were attempting to mass-produce the Strike Freedom Gundam. This is not correct. Essentially, the Strike Freedom Gundam is an entity that Lars Klein's forces independently modified based on the successor to the Freedom that was seized from the Soft Forces. In fact, the Strike Freedom Gundam is a mobile suit whose settings have evolved over time, making the situation quite complex. The initial settings during the broadcast of the TV anime were as follows. It was born from the combination of data from the Freedom Gundam, which was being repaired in Node, and data from the second stage series, a new type of mobile suit from the Soft Forces. This setting is partially adopted in the spin-off Gundam Seed Eclipse. The Eclipse Gundam is a mobile suit that was completed after an authorized acquisition of data from the Freedom Gundam, which was being repaired in Node, and its independent modification by Orb's secret organization. Let's return to the discussion of Soft's mass production plan for the Freedom Gundam. Details about the mass-produced Freedom Gundam are not well documented. However, it's generally understood that the Freedom Gundam's performance could only be fully utilized by exceptionally skilled pilots. From this perspective, it's reasonable to assume that performance modifications were planned to make the unit more pilot-friendly for a broader range of pilots. The mass-produced Freedom Gundam likely had a performance profile quite distinct from that of the Strike Freedom Gundam. The mass-produced Freedom Gundam never reached completion during the war and was never deployed in combat. Two main reasons account for this. First, the development of the new Dragoon system did not meet the deadline. The Dragoon system, an extremely powerful weapon, showcased its potential when equipped on the Providence Gundam. However, this weapon required an exceptionally unique spatial awareness ability, limiting its operation to a very select few pilots. The new Dragoon system was developed with the goal of being usable by ordinary pilots without special skills. However, the development of this weapon required more time than planned and was not ready for combat deployment. The technology developed here was later applied to the Sword Impulse Gundam's Beam Boomerang and Chaos Gundam. The second factor was the delay in the development of the new high-mobility thrusters. While the Freedom Gundam was an extremely powerful mobile suit, it had its weaknesses. Despite acquiring enormous energy through its nuclear engine, its thrusters still required propellant, like traditional mobile suits. While the energy for beam weapons and others could be supplied indefinitely by the nuclear engine running out of propellant, would render the mobile suit unable to continue combat. Kira Yamato and Asranza never exhibited such a weakness, likely due to their high piloting skills. Zaft's Weapon Development Division deemed the equipment of a propellant-free propulsion device as a necessary feature for the mass-produced Freedom. If the vast energy generated by the nuclear engine could be converted into propulsion, the combat endurance would significantly improve. Although this new thruster idea was revolutionary, its development was equally challenging. This technology was later completed with new technology acquired from the civilian organization, Deep Space Survey and Development Organization. The delay in the development of these two new equipments prevented the mass-produced Freedom from being ready for combat deployment subsequently. The Junius Treaty prohibited the installation of neutron jammer killers on mobile suits, rendering the mass-produced Freedom, developed as Zaft's trump card, impossible to deploy in actual combat. At this time, Chairman Eileen Canair, who had just taken office, faced much opposition for accepting the highly disadvantageous Junius Treaty for Prompt, resulting in her resignation from the chairmanship. Though operated by the forces of Lars Klein, the Freedom Gundam succeeded in destroying all the nuclear missiles of the Earth Alliance, defending Plant. The mass-produced Freedom Gundam, as a successor to the Freedom Gundam, was extremely important to coordinators as a means to protect their right to survive. The Junius Treaty, which made the continuation of such a significant development challenging, was also a considerable humiliation for the coordinators. Thus, the mass-produced Freedom Gundam faded into the obscurity of history. 2 years after the end of the war, in Cosmic Era 73, the era depicted in Sea Destiny unfolds. A secret organization known as Terminal existed. This non-governmental organization comprised collaborators from various nations including the Earth Alliance and Plant. Although a separate entity from Lars Klein's forces, Terminal maintained a favorable relationship with them during Cosmic Era 73. Terminal was concerned about the Earth Alliance and Zaft forces potentially repeating the history of war. In light of this, they commissioned the development of new weaponry at a secret factory called Factory. The factory was a distinct organization, rumored to have cooperation from high-ranking politicians of Plant and Zaft engineers. Even the civilian organization DSSD was rumored to be in collaboration. Observing the escalating war, the factory predicted that the Freedom Gundam would struggle to cope with the situation. This prediction eventually proved accurate when the Freedom Gundam was defeated by Zaft's new mobile suit, the Impulse Gundam. Deciding to develop a mobile suit more powerful than the Freedom Gundam, the factory focused on the mass-produced Freedom project. The mass-produced Freedom, which had vanished into the annals of history, was reapposed as the foundation for developing a new Gundam. Multiple theories exist regarding how the factory acquired the mass-produced Freedom. Some say only the data was obtained. Others believe that the faction known as the Crime Faction seized it from Saft when it was near completion, and there are also opinions that Terminal stole the sealed mass-produced Freedom from Saft and adjusted it specifically for Kiro Yamamoto. The truth among these theories remains unclear. It might be interesting to interpret that due to the covert operations of numerous secret organizations, deliberate misinformation has been spread. The factory aimed to complete the strongest Gundam by applying data from Saft's second stage series to the mass-produced Freedom, integrating various new technologies. The data used included operational data of the Freedom Gundam by Kiro Yamamoto and technology developed by civilian organizations. Thus, the Strike Freedom Gundam, called the strongest of its time in Cosmic Era 73, was born. The Strike Freedom Gundam boasts numerous features. First, its nuclear engine was upgraded to a highly powerful Hyper-Deuterium engine. This engine is a combination of a super-compact reactor and a battery. It enabled the Freedom Gundam to achieve several times more power output. Detailed documentation on how the deuterium system was applied wasn't found. There are no scenes where it receives energy replenishment from a battleship like the Impulse Gundam. Such actions are unnecessary for the Strike Freedom Gundam, which can generate unlimited energy with its nuclear engine. Nor were documents found explaining the specific advantages of simultaneously using the nuclear engine and battery. This is purely my personal interpretation. The deuterium being can replenish the energy needed for mobile suit combat in just a few seconds. What if the vast energy generated by the nuclear engine is converted into a deuterium beam and instantly charged into the battery? The provision of vastly more energy than consumed by weapons is the strength of nuclear engines in the Seed universe. On the flip side, it generates excess energy. A detail added in the perfect grade model kit is that the red particles emitted by the Freedom Gundam and Strike Freedom Gundam are excess energy produced by the nuclear engine, discharged as particles. It's possible they adopted a system to charge excess energy into the battery and release it as needed. The Gundams in Gundam 00 utilize GM particles as their energy source. These Gundams store GM particles in a component called GM condenser and use them in combat. They are equipped with a system called Transam, which releases all stored particles at once, significantly enhancing the mobile suit's performance. Perhaps the Hyper-Deuterium shares a similar mechanism with Transam. Of course, remember this is just my personal interpretation. The armor of the Strike Freedom Gundam is made of variable phase shift armor, providing exceptionally high defense. This armor is designed to move in sync with the internal skeleton's movement to enable highly flexible maneuvers, allowing almost human-like movements. However, the moving armor creates gaps in various parts, a vulnerability. Quantum computer-based combat simulations concluded that extremely high mobility is achievable, but it's impossible to reduce the hit probability to zero. But the factory's developers had immense faith in Kiro Yamamoto's skills and prioritized improved mobility over defense. Their decision was correct, as the Strike Freedom Gundam operated with a very low hit rate in actual combat. In the TV anime, one of the rare hit scenes is when its limbs are temporarily restrained by the heat rod of Gulf ignited. If the mobile armor mechanism hadn't been adopted, it's speculated that the Strike Freedom Gundam wouldn't have been able to keep up with Kira Yamato's piloting skills. Moreover, the gaps created by the movable armor also served as vents for the excess energy produced by the nuclear engine. The sight of it releasing red particles while flying at high speed resembles the red comet. There is a misconception among fans that the Strike Freedom Gundam's armor is extremely thin. No such setting exists, stating the armor is made extremely thin. However, the Savior Gundam is said to have lightened armor by revising the armor material, enhancing mobility. It wouldn't be strange if the Strike Freedom Gundam, utilizing data from the second stage series, adopted the same armor structure as the Savior Gundam. Yet there is also a setting that successfully lightens the armor while preventing a drop in defense. The armor might be thinner, but it doesn't necessarily mean the defense is weaker. Furthermore, as explained later, the Strike Freedom Gundam adopts phase shift armor in its internal frame. Therefore, even if the surface armor is thin, the overall defense isn't necessarily weak. The skeleton of the Strike Freedom Gundam is composed of phase shift armor. The external armor is made of variable phase shift armor, while the skeleton is built from phase shift armor. There are many unknowns about the difference between phase shift and variable phase shift armor. The variable phase shift armor allows for adjusting strength and properties by changing the amount of current flowing through it. Perhaps due to its simpler mechanism, the phase shift armor might offer higher strength. Of course, this is just my personal interpretation. But the fact that phase shift armor, not variable phase shift armor, was specifically chosen for the skeleton suggests some advantages. Phase shift armor greatly enhances resistance to physical stress and improves heat resistance. This characteristic is often used to increase a mobile suit's defensive power. However, applying it to a mobile suit's joints also greatly enhances the unit's flexibility. Kira Yamato's piloting skills, while extremely high, imposed significant stress on the mobile suit's joints. During the era when he piloted the Strike Gundam, there are scenes where Ops engineers mention that the unit's joints have suffered serious damage. This technology became crucial to allow Gundam to keep pace with Kira's improved skills in the Sea Destiny era. In the original Gundam, there's a scene where the Gundam is upgraded with magnetic coating to keep up with Amuro Ray's piloting skills. This technology reduced physical resistance in the joints, enabling Gundam to match Amuro's skills. The phase shift armor skeleton of the Strike Freedom Gundam is akin to a modern revival of the magnetic coating. Normally, these joint parts are a dull gold color. When Kira Yamato's piloting imposes strong stress on the joints, the phase shift armor uses intense energy, causing them to shine in a vivid gold color. Various changes in settings occurred during the TV anime's broadcast regarding these joint parts. Initially, in the Strike Freedom Gundam's appearance, they were just simple gold joints, but at the point of model kit commercialization, the setting of shining in a vivid gold color under strong stress was added. There were also documents describing a technical connection between the gold joints and Gundam Stray Gold frame, or Akatsuki, but this special setting was later denied by Shigeru Morita, who was responsible for these unique settings. Additionally, during the planning stage, there was a consideration for a setting where the Strike Freedom Gundam was shining gold all over when releasing all its energy. However, this idea was not adopted because it resembled ideas from other robot anime. The adoption of the gold joints in the current Strike Freedom Gundam is a remnant of these initial settings. With its movable armor and phase shift armor skeleton, the Strike Freedom Gundam achieved astonishing mobility, effectively becoming a Gundam specialized for Kira Yamato. There are still many powerful features to discuss. Next, let's talk about the wings. The wings of the Strike Freedom Gundam, an advanced evolution of the Freedom Gundam's wings, are known as mobile armament wings. They not only assist in combat maneuvers, but also serve as a platform for deploying armaments. These wings are equipped with two new devices initially planned for the mass-produced Freedom. The first is the Super Dragoon. It's a weapon developed by Zaft, aiming to be usable by regular pilots. Originally intended for mass production as a simplified Dragoon system, it was modified into a potent armament, assuming operation by Kira Yamato's unique spatial recognition ability. It's unclear why Kira possesses this unique spatial recognition ability. However, Yuren Hibiki, the creator of Kira, aimed to create the ultimate coordinator. He proceeded with the cloning of Eldolf Flager, a man of immense wealth. It's natural to assume that Alan analyzed the Flager family's genes and applied them to Kira. Next is the Voiture Lumiere system. This technology was acquired from the civilian organization DSSD. It's a special propulsion device that converts energy into thrust instead of using propellants. This equipment has been surrounded by various settings. Initially during the TV anime broadcast, there was no setting that the Strike Freedom Gundam was equipped with the Voiture Lumiere system. Siege Stargazer was produced about a year after the TV broadcast of Sea Destiny. Initially, there was no clear setting, and director Mitsuo Fukuda described it as a visual representation of immense energy. When the Master Grade model kit was announced, there was a setting that the Voiture Lumiere system could only be used when the Dragoons were detached from the wings. However, in the Perfect Grade and High Grade released later, there's no mention that it can't be used unless the Dragoons are detached. In their remaster of the TV anime and some official illustrations, scenes depict the Strike Freedom Gundam using the light wings, while the Dragoons are attached. The Dragoons themselves are equipped with thrusters, and there's a mechanism where parts of the armor are open, while the Dragoons are installed on the wings. From this, it can be inferred that the latest setting allows the use of the Voiture Lumiere system even with the Dragoons attached. In a battle scene depicted in Ode, the Strike Freedom Gundam equipped with Dragoons appears from the sky, holding hands with the Infinite Justice Gundam. The high speed was confirmed, leading the operator of the battleship Manave to judge that it's not a mobile suit's speed. It's reasonable to assume that the Voiture Lumiere was used, even though it wasn't expressly shown. Furthermore, the Strike Freedom Gundam is also equipped with a multi-lock-on system. Its head's information processing capability is enhanced, allowing it to lock onto and attack more enemy units than the Freedom Gundam. It can attack an overwhelming number of enemy units by combining all its weapons and Dragoons. Finally, let's talk about the name Strike Freedom. Multiple opinions exist regarding this name. The first is that it was this name even when it was developed by Zaft. For Zaft, The Strike Gundam was an enemy weapon that defeated many of their skilled commanders and pilots. It might seem unnatural for some to adopt the name of a hated enemy for their own weapon. However, there's a track record where Sanzora pilot for Zaft defeated the formidable enemy. It might not be odd to consider it a declaration of having conquered and claimed the power of a formidable enemy. The next opinion is that Lois Klein named it. It's believed that she combined the names of the Strike Gundam and Freedom Gundam, which once saved Kira Yamato's life. The name Strike Freedom is interpreted as containing Lois's prayers. Also, as discussed so far, the Strike Freedom Gundam was designed with the goal of achieving movements as close to the human body as possible. Interestingly, the GATX series Strike Gundam also had a setting aiming for movements as close to the human body as technically possible. While developed by different organizations, the design concept is similar. What do you think is the appropriate origin for the name Strike Freedom? Let's examine the armament of the Strike Freedom Gundam. First is the MMIGAU 2070-30 mm close-in defense machine gun. This weapon uses metal bullets instead of beam weaponry. During the design phase, there were opinions against its adoption due to the large space required for mounting on the head. However, it was chosen considering the reliability of weapons using metal bullets and their different characteristics from beam weapons. In the Seed Era, there were scenes where the Freedom Gundam used its head Vulcan guns to slow down the Raider Gundam's hammer or counter the Forbidden Gundam's beam weaponry defense equipment with railguns. Though not depicted being used by Kira Yamato, in the Build series, Kyoyakujo is seen using it. His opponent was the Gundam Barbados, a Gundam with high defense against beam weapons. The head Vulcan guns using metal bullets forced Gundam Barbados into a defensive posture and successfully managed the distance between the two machines. It's a scene that proved the factory's developers' decision correct beyond the confines of the series. Next is the MAM 21KF high-energy beam rifle. This weapon is an improved model of the Lupus beam rifle, equipped on the Freedom Gundam. Equipping beam rifles in both hands increases attack power range and the number of targets that can be attacked. Connecting the two beam rifles increases output, enabling the firing of a more powerful beam. It's unclear how the mechanism increases output when connected. The Buster Gundam, which uses a similar structure weapon, has a setting that says connecting allows the use of two generators simultaneously. Perhaps this beam rifle has a similar setting. The destructive power of the connected beam rifles is very high, as depicted in scenes where even the Destiny Gundam, defending with a beam shield, is blown away by the impact. In the special edition, there are added scenes where the nuclear engine's wet particles merge with the beam, enhancing its destructive power. The details of this attack remain unknown. If it has the capability to absorb even the energy particles floating in the air, that would be an astonishing technology. Next is the MAM-02G Super Lacquered Beam Saber. Super in French means super. It's an improved version of the Lacquered Beam Saber equipped on the Freedom Gundam and can be used in the ambidextrous halberd mode when two are connected. Kira did not use this mode in the story. However, it's depicted in an illustration promoting the TV Anis disc analyzing this illustration. The beam saber of the Strike Freedom Gundam confronting the Destiny Gundam in the video concurrent with the opening theme song might be in the ambidextrous halberd mode. In this video, only one beam braid is activated. It's a beam saber that utilizes the Bakra beam saber technology adopted in Zaft's second stage series and demonstrates extremely strong output with the new nuclear engine. Next is the MGX 2235 Kalidas multi-phase beam cannon. It's the same type of weapon equipped on the Abyss Gundam. However, its power and rapid-fire capability are enhanced with the new engine's output. It has enough destructive power to counter and neutralize the high-energy long-range beam cannon of the Destiny Gundam. While the Kalidas' barrel on the Abyss Gundam is red variable phase shift armor, the Strike Freedom Gundam uses gold phase shift armor. It's installed very close to the cockpit, so a super high precision mirror wall and energy barrier are installed between the cockpit and the Kalidas. Due to its placement on the torso, it can adjust the firing angle as much as the barrier. However, the Kalidas has the advantage of being able to fire immediately without deploying the barrel. In past Gundam series, mobile suits with beam cannons in the abdomen were often piloted by the protagonist's rival. Therefore, during the TV anime broadcast, many fans speculated that the Strike Freedom Gundam might stand as the final enemy. Next is the MMIM-15E Zephyrus 3 railgun, an improved version of the railgun equipped on the Freedom Gundam. It also serves as a part responsible for the mobile suit's weight balance and posture control. The gun barrel storage method has changed from a 3-stage folding to a 2-stage folding, reducing its size, yet its destructive power has increased. It's unique for having joints installed for beam sabers. However, if the beam rifle is mounted on the waist, the railgun needs to be moved to the rear of the waist. Then there's the powerful Super Dragoon system. In the Gundam series, it's sometimes referred to as an all-range attack system, a remote-controlled weapon. It can detach from the main body and attack multiple targets from any angle or surround, and attack a single enemy unit. The simultaneous use of the multi-lock-on system and Dragoon system requires extremely high capabilities, making it effectively an equipment that no one other than Kiro Yamato can fully utilize. This weapon can only be used in a zero-gravity environment and cannot be used in a gravity environment. In the game appearances, it's usable in gravity environments, but this is prioritized for gameplay enjoyment. However, in past Gundam series, there are scenes where all-range attacks are executed in a gravity environment, similar to skydiving. Maybe Kiro Yamato could use it for a short time with his skills. But in the TV anime, it's only used in a zero-gravity environment. The name of the beam cannon equipped on the Super Dragoon is MA-ADB Beam Assault Cannon. This name is the same as the weapons equipped on the Chaos Gundam and Gaia Gundam. The beam cannon model number equipped on the second stage series is MA-8010. The beam cannon on the Strike Freedom Gundam is an older model, but it's highly likely that it has been modified by the factory and is effectively an evolved version. A major difference from the weapons of the Chaos Gundam and Gaia Gundam is its ability to output a beam saber. This function wasn't used in the TV anime. However, in Build Divers Battle, Kyoyakujo utilized this function, forcefully destroying the shoulder armor of the Gundam Barbatos by pressing the beam saber against it. One of the few weaknesses of the Freedom Gundam was the lack of means to attack from the rear. While the goal of a weapon capable of dealing with all directions independently may be ambitious, since Lois Klein and her team often fight outnumbered, it was a challenge that had to be addressed. By adding the Dragoon as standard equipment, the Strike Freedom Gundam overcame the weaknesses of its predecessor, the Freedom Gundam. Using all these weapons simultaneously is referred to as Full Burst Mode. Similar to the Freedom Gundam, the high-speed maneuvering state with wings spread is called High Mach Mode. Lastly, for defense, it also possesses the MX 2200 beam shield. It's based on the defense device equipped on the Space Fortress Artemis by the Eurasia Federation, an internal organization of the Earth Alliance. The Eurasia Federation later installed a modified version of this equipment on a mobile suit named Hyperion. It's a more haste beam shield, a new type of mechanism. It's a technology developed when installed on Hyperion. It adds the function to block attacks from a single direction. This allows defending against enemy attacks while launching one's own attack from inside the beam shield. The Shinken Shirahadori displayed in the confrontation with the Destiny Gundam utilizes the more haste characteristic. It's a legendary technique passed down among Japanese samurai. However, currently, this technique is considered more of a fictional existence, like a performance. It's a technique where the opponent's sword is caught with the palms of both hands, then snatched away, disarming the opponent. In this scene, the beam blade of the Destiny Gundam's Arendite is caught by the beam shield, and the metal blade is caught by the palms. At this moment, the palms extended from inside the beam shield don't receive any damage from the beam. The Arendite, halted in its motion, is then shot at close range by the railgun, destabilizing the Destiny Gundam and ultimately throwing the Arendite into the sea. In the novel version, it's mentioned that Kira used the railgun to knock out the opponent's pilot. It might be due to the danger of causing an explosion with the Destiny Gundam's nuclear engine. Kira didn't know the specifics of the Destiny Gundam, but analyzing from the combat capabilities similar to the Strike Freedom, it wouldn't be surprising if he deduced that the Destiny Gundam was equipped with a nuclear engine. Shin, unaware of Kira's intentions, perceived the railgun attack as a provocation. Kira felt threatened by Shin's abilities and executed Shinken Shirahadori spontaneously, throwing his beam rifle into the air. Kira fought with all his might, but the motion was so graceful that she misinterpreted it as a provocation. By adopting the beam shield, the equipment's weight could be reduced and the arm's armaments could be used efficiently without hindrance from the shield. Unlike metal shields that get damaged, the beam shield, powered by an inexhaustible new type nuclear engine, has a very low chance of disappearing. As long as the components generating the beam shield don't get damaged, it can be continuously used. The beam shield of the prototype Hyperion could shape a beam like a spear for attacks. Whether the Strike Freedom's beam shield can do the same remains unknown. The Strike Freedom Gundam can also connect with the Meteor. With the new nuclear engine's output, it can generate an extremely large beam sword. Now, having discussed so much, the program has extended quite a bit. Let's focus on just one scene showcasing the Strike Freedom Gundam in action. We'll pay attention to the final battle at the Space Fortress Messiah in Sea Destiny, a battle that portrays both the brilliance and the suddenness of Kira's talent. The Strike Freedom Gundam fires its Dragoons at the Destiny Gundam. Desperately trying to evade, the Destiny Gundam finally resorts to defending with its beam shield. The moment the beam shield and the Dragoon's attack create a massive light, the Strike Freedom Gundam launches an attack in full burst mode. Doesn't this sequence of actions Seem familiar? Forcing the enemy into a defensive action and exploiting the opening to launch further attacks. It's a strategic method of combat. Throughout his battles, Kira Yamato has rarely fought enemies using the Dragoon system. In the orb defense battle, the Legend Gundam didn't separate and attack with its Dragoons due to the gravity environment. Just moments before launching the Dragoon attack on the Destiny Gundam, Kira witnessed only a glimpse of the Legend Gundam's Dragoon separation attack. Who comes to mind as someone whose use of Dragoons left a strong impression on Kira? Yes, it's Raula Crete. And do you remember the tactic of forcing defense against Dragoon attacks and then exploiting the resulting opening for further attacks? This method of combat was the one that took the life of Frey Ulster. It's a method that inflicted a profound wound on Kira's heart. It wouldn't be surprising if unconsciously he avoided such actions. Yet, Kira instinctively employed this tactic and successfully landed a direct hit on the Destiny Gundam. Gilbert Juno evaluated Kira Yamato as the ultimate warrior. This scene depicts the fact that Kira Yamato can make optimal and cold, calculated decisions in mobile suit combat. Of course, as many fans know, Kira doesn't enjoy fighting. It's painfully poignant that he, who dislikes combat, didn't hesitate to choose a tactic associated with a sad memory. If one interprets that every experience can contribute to personal growth, this too might be considered another remarkable talent. However, while displaying his prodigious talent, Kira is undoubtedly inflicting damage upon his own heart. The Strike Freedom Gundam is often called the strongest mobile suit in the Seed series. Have you noticed, while indeed a powerful Gundam, the Strike Freedom Gundam does not exhibit the fantastical, mysterious abilities seen in past Gundam series. It demonstrates high combat capabilities purely through technology. Moreover, it's a Gundam that has been called by various names before making its appearance in the TV anime. During the planning stage, it was named Super Freedom Gundam. In fact, in magazines and other media, it has been introduced as Delta Freedom and New Freedom. The name Delta Gundam was originally intended by Yoshiyuki Tsumino during the planning stage for the Gundam Mark II that appeared in Zeta Gundam. The name Delta Gundam was also the initial name given to Hiyaku Shiki during the design phase in the world of Zeta Gundam. And New Gundam is the name of the Gundam piloted by Admiral Wayne Shaw's counterattack. The reasons behind these name changes are unclear. It's unlikely that magazine editors would arbitrarily assign names, so it's natural to assume that these were names used during the planning stages. An emergency has occurred. A massive fortress, Messiah, has appeared in the distance from your city. You must immediately board the Strike Freedom Gundam and head out to intercept it. Among the enemy's forces, the presence of Destiny Gundam and Legend Gundam is anticipated. Press the subscribe button to start the engine. Hit the like button to launch. Press the bell button to activate multi-lock arm. To seize the future and freedom of the world, we need your strength. We wish you good luck in battle.